on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. It's going to be a fantastic Friday's edition of Talk Today as we invite you to be a part of what's going to transpire. It's going to be open line as I promised yesterday, and I want to hear from you. Monday is a holiday, and Monday, it's not just a holiday. It's a holiday that we're going to be celebrating what? So the first caller that calls and tells me why are we celebrating a holiday on Monday, I'm going to give you a prize. Guess what it is? We're going to have to call to find out. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
What is saying in español? Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a Habla Hoy. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Talk Today. And as I invite you to share with us, I put a challenge out to the first caller, and we have a caller. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I am highly favored. Very thankful. Thank God for health, mercy, grace, love, protection, provision, with friends that I can argue with, but in a healthy way.
Amen to that one.
Yeah, man. How are you, man? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
All right. Well, you're the first caller. So, let's see if you win the prize and if you want the prize that I'm offering.
I'm
Okay.
sure that whatever prize you offer will be good, so.
All right. So, what is Monday and why are we celebrating Monday?
Monday is Constitution Day.
Okay. And what does that mean to you? And like, I'm not going to necessarily get into the historical context and when it was created and why, but just share your perspective as I try to adjust the sound in my headset because of my hands are flicking and clicking. But go on, talk to me, man. I'm not hearing you. I want to hear you 5 by 5.
What it means to me? Well, just commemorating that the fact that this country now has a constitution order in place that was voted on by the public and approved by us as electors in Cayman Islands, and I was happy to have voted for that constitution order.
Okay, all right. So, and I'm mindful that many people, and with great respect, we would assume public servants, not just serving, but former public servants, whether they're retired or whether they've transferred to other jurisdictions, even not much less on their own or to the private sector, that we believe that in this democracy, they must be denied a voice. They will be decried if they voice something publicly. And sadly, increasingly, even those in the private sector. So I want us to think of Monday as not just, the Constitution Day, but the importance of it and the freedoms that we should have, the rights and responsibilities, and the obligations to be able to champion our democracy by speaking and assembling in a civil way publicly to challenge, the status quo and authorities and decisions, but also to champion them and draw alongside, certain things that For instance, as an example, the courts may rule in favor of a government decision that some in the public may not like, but you think, hey, that decision reflects not just the laws and intent, the spirit and intent of the law, and the court has upheld it, but some don't like it. Well, you go and you say, hey, good on you, courts. Or you may say, you know what, I don't like that. That's not what we as a society think should be the case, and let's peacefully, present ourselves directly, to our parliamentarians, again, in a respectful, civil, responsible way, but also publicly. We can look at nations like the UK and the US where their, highest courts will have a decision, and then that impacts it. So, for you, Constitution Day means something?
Yeah, definitely. No constitution is perfect, but the constitution order that we have now, I think, is a good start. I think that the rights included in it is a good start. I honestly would have liked to have the Bill of Rights to, included, to not be vertical as they are now, only with regard to what the government does, for it to be inclusive of everything, every person, every business entity, private or public sector.
Right.
We don't have that right now, and some people are mistaken that we do, but the constitutional order we have now is something good to build on.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it's referred to as as an order. So before we go any further, you please engage for as long as you want. We can change the topic. I offered up a price, and so you can pick between two. You can accept either. You can decline both, or you can accept both. Right? One is a $25 gift certificate from our good friends over at Reflections. All right. Okay. And the second one, you can we can go for breakfast. I know people will pay countless pennies to sit in the presence of others, and they may or may not be great people. They may or may not impart wisdom, and I profess to be in their league. I just like good company, so I'll offer up either or both.
But I definitely want the second one.
Oh, you win prizes and points, as my friend would say. All right. Well, I'm off next week, God's willing, so you can do it then. You can do it the week following. You can. There's no expiry date on it. All right, how about that? All right. I just asked for like a day's notice.
Yeah, man, that sounds good.
All right. So you take the second one in. All right. You don't want the first one too? All right, cool, man. That sounds good.
Yeah, if you want to throw in the first one as well, that'd be great.
That'll be great, man. That'll be great. Not a problem, man.
Thank you.
I'll put that in your hand. And the reason people are listening, why I offer that, sometimes you got to show your love and appreciation, right? I didn't know you would call, and I may decide to do it again later. This is no ulterior motive. There's no ulterior motive at all on my part. I wanted people to start to wake up, stand up, and to realize that we have to be each other's, keeper, and we have to be the eyes and ears of our community, and we got to champion the things that mean something to us. And we can't allow things to happen. The late Mr. Rupert, a man that I love, admire, and respect dearly, would call in incessantly and complain, in a sense, as some would say, but I would say lament, that we are littering not just Barkas, but the whole place. And he didn't use the word, nasty. I like that the Honorable Tourism Minister, of all the things he may have said or may say, when he referred to the nastiness that, you see with the way we're littering with the cars and the like. I think that should strike a chord with us and make us stop that behavior. And Mr. Rupert did that, right? So, that's what I want us to get to a space where we don't accept that progress comes with increased crime, that this thing about, they're older and that's what they get because that's who they are. No, man, they're people. Anyway, I may preach before the day is out.
We got to do our part and kind of find out things that need to be addressed, but also do our part to fix things so that we can.
All right. Well, I will call you after the show, God's willing. We will arrange a space and a place, and we will decide that, a time and a day. All right?
I appreciate that very, very much.
God bless you, Nafal, man. Take care.
God bless you too.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right. What's our song? Give a little love. Should we take the call or go to the break, miss? Let's take the call. Look at that. We see the smile of Susan, man. It just brings sunshine to any corner. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. You just cut me off. Well, not cut me off. I was waiting for you to complete that song, you know.
Okay. So join me, and we sing it together.
Well, I think I know which one it is, but I forget it. Give a little love or something. I can't remember which one.
Okay, while we're talking,
all
right.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, sir. While we're talking, and ask Miss Susan if possible, in how Joel used to do for us, right? She could find it, play it in the background. Give a little love.
Yes.
Come,
well,
give a little love. Come on, let's see what she says, man. Listen, we can wake up,
yes,
right?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I hope that there will be more than one song with that line, so, you know, might wind up with 2-3 songs. So,
she can pick it, man. You know, if you, in the absence of Joel and DJ Lynn and them here, you got Susan, you know, so if it's a song with any lyrics, you know, she'll find it, you know.
I have to trust it, yes.
But she won't play it slow.
If she can't find it,
but yeah. She reminded me now that with the corporate laws, even though we pay, we're probably one of the few stations that always have, we pay to the royalties. Yeah.
Oh, well,
you heard?
If you were in another country, in Guyana, where I first lived when I came to the Caribbean more than 20 years ago, in that place I was surprised to find that I go into a shop and I find all these tapes which are like home recorded in the days of the tapes, and they were just reselling these non-original things. There was no copyright there, you know. But
hey, those were days when things were different, right? I remember in Mexico City, the same thing, man. Some of the best mixtapes ever.
Oh, yes, you know.
All right, man, all right. But
during Constitution Day, very important, of course. It is a time to reflect on some issues. This morning I engaged the chairperson and of the commission, Yvonne, and together with Ms. Aniki here. I don't know if they are coming on your program, but there are quite a number of issues I think that need to be discussed. One of them, let me begin with this one, Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
Today, the campus has reported, the headline is Judicial Administration Chastised for Deleting Court Records. Okay? And then basically it says that the Judicial Administration has been ordered by the Ombudsman to follow the law when it comes to management and retention and disposal of court records. This order actually came out of a complaint that I made, and it eventually went up to the Ombudsman. I had asked the judiciary to provide me video recordings of the hearing I had before the Grand Court and the Court of Appeal, and they refused. So I appealed it to the Ombudsman, and the Ombudsman made a number of decisions. Basically, she said, my argument basically was, they have to give me this not just because I was a party to the proceedings, but they have to give it to me also because there is a provision under section, I think it is 11 of the Constitution, which gives me the right to freely access information, to be able to obtain any record which government has to some degree been implemented by the OFI law. But what the Ombudsman said about that was, well, I can't make a decision on that. I disagree with her, but she said that she can't make a decision on that. But what she has decided, she has said that because some records were deleted in relation to that matter, and that there were no rules intended to ensure that they comply with the National Archives and Public Records law, she has said that they've not been complying with the law, one, and she has given them 3 months to report to her about what measures they are going to be taking to ensure that records are maintained and kept. And this has been a very problematic issue. I had it as a problem in my litigation. I know people by name who also had this kind of problem. And talking about the Constitution, how can you have really the judiciary, which is the one which
if all else fails, if I go to the premier, even the governor or anybody in government, and they can't give me what I want, I go to the judiciary, and the judiciary must be counted upon to be able to say, this is what the law is. Regardless of who has done or not done this, we will order that person to do it or not to do it. And yet the judiciary is found not to be complying with the laws that it is supposed to administer. I think this is very, very significant, and I will be following it up to find out exactly how they will comply with that. Now, the other thing I should mention as well, again in relation to the Constitution, is that these are cases involving me, but I do believe that they've got a broader public importance. I asked, for example, that they should give me records of how many lawyers were complained against and how many judges were complained against under the relevant constitutional provisions in relation to the judges and under the relevant statutory provisions in relation to the lawyers. They refused to give it to me. The judiciary refused. I appealed it to the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman hasn't made a formal decision, but has told them that she would make a decision compelling them to produce. So they have produced a certain amount, but I've asked for further and better particulars, and I want also that document to be properly authenticated. By that, of course, meaning it should be on the letterhead with a signature rather than just a schedule which they gave me. So, but I've been waiting for 60 days now, and they haven't done anything about it. And you see where the problem is. If I wanted to complain against the Chief Justice for that delay, do you know that I have nowhere to go? If I complain, if it was a decision, an administrative decision by a judge, I would have to complain to the Chief Justice. What independence does she have to chastise one of their own? It would have been better if they had kept it the way it was last time, which was in the 2009 Constitution, where you went to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission to complain about judges because if it was a separate body. So come 2016, they removed that from the Judicial and Legal Services Commission and they gave it to the Chief Justice. And right now there's hardly any judge who is ever disciplined, and that's because the Constitution is defective in that respect. But in addition to that, I think at the end of the day, a Constitution is no good if it can't be enforced. And if you have systems that do not allow that accountability within that system. Now, today I want to ask a question which I asked the chairman of the Human Rights of the Constitutional Commission this morning, but he avoided the issue. Because what I told him, I said, you know what, a lot of these issues you are discussing today, people are interested, but only to a degree. People are far more interested in the right of self-determination of Caymanians, and some will say even some status holders, those who have come to Cayman. But let us talk about indigenous Caymanians first, because they are at the top of the list. Okay, there are people who have suggested that, look, we should have a system which ensures that the granting of status does not outstrip the natural birth rate of people born of Caymanians in Cayman. I know some of them are born in Miami, but it counts those, you know.
Right.
Those who are born there. So this suggestion to me, I think it is reasonable. So I asked the chairman of the commission, I said, if government was to adopt that policy and enact the mechanisms that are necessary to achieve that policy, do they know of anything in the Constitution which would make it unconstitutional, or anything in the international human rights norms which would make it objectionable? Now, I know that the answer to that is that there isn't, but I wanted to find out from them what their answer is. They obviously avoided it. In my view, that is at the top of what people should be discussing in Cayman today. I also gave them the example, for example, of the Boundaries Commission, an important commission, which is the members of whom are really important people in society, in addition to the lady who is the chair from outside. They went out to some places. There are 3 members of the commission, and only 2 people, show up to discuss.
Uh-huh.
Is it because people don't care about those things? They want you to deal with the fundamentals. What is being done by each government to ensure that people who are local have got their turf preserved for them?
As we take the break, just once more, repeat that question you said that should be on our minds and asked and answered.
Okay, that question. The question is this. If the government was to enact legislation to say that the number of status grants should not in any year exceed the number of people being born of Caymanians, if they were to enact that, would that violate any part of the Constitution or any international human rights norms? I could, well, of course, the public want to hear about that. That's why I'm happy to repeat it. But I can also send you a written one and so forth, so that, for the record, and if you want to read it. So.
Right, yes. And I actually appreciate that. And there's some things that, I want to maybe ask our people to consider, given the holiday Monday. But thank you very much, all right?
Thank you, Dwayne. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. All right, let's pause, take this break, come back, take some more calls. Give a little love, we say. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new Boneless Hot Sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better.
Radio Cayman News.
On this public holiday, we celebrate the birthday of His Royal Highness King Charles III.
Our first King's birthday celebration in the Cayman Islands, and the first for our new governor.
Let us all give 3 cheers for His Majesty the King.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us on this open line. Hopefully, Mr. Philip Richter will come in at 1 if his schedule allows and keep my company. But it's going to be open line, so let's go to the phones. Buenas tardes, bienvenidos. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, I was speaking that kind of language you wouldn't answer.
¿Tú hablas español? No, mira, man, mira. All right. You got my attention. Let me listen to you.
How you doing?
Hey, I am doing great, thank God. And if I wasn't, I would be working diligently to be so.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we need to clone you, and we need to see about
You want to clone me? Wow, that would be nice, man. 2 of me.
Some more young people into our broadcast, and we need we've got some young people who should be involved in this. We sit here depending on you every day, and when we can't get you, then it's like TV27 when we had that, that is gone, so we kind of lost that. And when you gone, you lost. No disrespect to anyone who may hold on for you. But some of the small insults that comes behind is not really appreciated. But I just dropped that in there. I have a couple of things that I want to hit on. And I just want to say that Bordentown is the very first capital for Grand Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we got 2 or 3 or whatever amount of MPs for that district.
For the district of Bordentown that we know, it's divided into 4 electoral districts. So Savannah, Newlands, and then Bordentown East and West.
I include Savannah. I live in Savannah. I was just including me before.
It's I think there's much to be discussed, and perhaps, well, you go ahead and maybe I'll share something, but let me hear from you because I have the mic. I can always talk, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have my girlfriend visiting, and I drive to Bordentown a couple of days ago, and I'm afraid I thought to driving to Bordentown. No disrespect to anyone. They can come on air. People can come on air and say call a human being disgraceful, but then again, when you look at a community, I consider that disgraceful to the fact of the matter that you have to drive to Bordentown to get to the other districts.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Morris Cooper, you got Rum Point, and you got the Wyndham, and you got residents who have to go to Bordentown every day, sometimes 2 and 3 and 4 times a day, and probably 5 times on the weekend. And I just want to say, Sterling, what I have seen in Bordentown a couple of days ago is unacceptable to the fact of the garbage that is here and there. The little bus stops is out there. They got the garbage all caught up on the sides of the little railing, and there's a yard up there got 1 ton of cars. It's out on the main street, 1 ton of cars just out front there. It could be like a garage. But I want to know what the MPs are doing for Bordentown. Buildings need to be painted. The place needs some sort of uplifted decoration, something in that category. No, we're going to have a lot of visitors coming from the U.S. going up to their resort and extending North Side and wherever else for the private residential. Okay? It's a disgrace up there, Sterling. And I don't care what anybody may come back now and send the station.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's a disgrace for what Bordentown looks like for having 4 MPs from Savannah all the way up to, I think, Breakers or something in that category, that these 4 people are split out. You understand? And this garage that is sitting right at the main road there, it's unacceptable. And I don't know, I just think that some of these people walk around with their eyes closed, and then we sit there and talk about tourism this and tourism that, and what are we doing to keep him uplifted? The tourism is one of our main pillars of this island. But I want you to elaborate on that later because I want to hit on, we had a meeting with Mr. J.E. Banks a week ago at the Glass House, taxis, and we had like 6, 7, 8 taxi drivers who came to the meeting. It was very nice to see some of the taxis came up. No, we got probably about over 500, including the other public buses, and I'm quite sure he's dividing them up in groups and having them, having meetings with them. But, Sterling, in that meeting, one of the taxi guys said to me, I counted about 14 to 15 Caymanians in that meeting, and the rest was expats. And let me tell you something, I'm not against expats or no nationality, but the fact of the matter is, we ain't looking out for our people, too. We are not looking out for our people. I just understand there's something going around about PR families can bring their children to the Caymans to work for the summer. What about our children that's here that need a job? It seems like every government enjoy our children going to need assessment, social service, and going to not work. I can say who called to this station soon and beat me up. But that's all I can see. Our children going to not work, going to social service, and going to need assessment, and going to the streets and getting themselves in trouble unnecessarily when they should be having those summer jobs themselves. So this thing about PR bringing in their children to work in our island, I think that's a slap in the face for our Caymanian children. And that's why our Caymanian children ain't doing no better than doing, because they feel they're being neglected and ignored, and they are defeated and have no interest in doing anything in our country because no one stands up for our children. But yet we got to turn around and call our children and our adults, we are lazy people. They're out of order. They're out of order. So I just want to take my hat off to Mr. Jay and his crew for who came out to have this meeting called like a week ago, and we're looking for a lot of good changes and a lot of good possibilities from what we gathered in that meeting a week ago. And hopefully, I should get my ID very soon.
Okay.
And if that ID don't come up, then there will be a bigger meeting throughout this island.
You know, I appreciate you championing the thing you think is important, and it, as the caller before, it may be because an individual has a vested interest in something, and oftentimes that's why things come to the fore. But they can also affect other people if the outcome is positive. So we have to believe in something, you know, we have to stand for something that we fall for it. So, hey, thank you very much, and keep us posted, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, blessings to you. Blessings. Hey, listen, it's going to be open line, right? Philip Richter, as he gets, you know, his work schedule under control, he'll take a lunch break, he'll come across, and we'll have some banter. But we want you to call and share your thoughts, and not, I say this with great respect, not to be afraid of our shadows, not to be scared by the Dapir Bugaman, not to allow the person in position of power, authority, uniform, even the parent, to deny us a voice, but never to be disrespectful and dishonorable, to always act with honesty, integrity, and humility. Something that I say, and I do not know that it is an original saying. I will not say that it is, and if you've seen it credited to somebody else, let me know. But I subscribe to it. I believe time can be our best friend, or it can be our worst enemy. And I reflect on it often. How we use it. We can consciously procrastinate. Some of us will procrastinate because we get, you know, sort of immobilized in our thoughts. We get, you know, frustrated, overwhelmed. We get caught up in analyzing something that we become paralyzed, or we become fearful of something, and then we lead to inaction. But then there are some of us who are hasty. And the scripture says, you know, take time to tarry. And then some of us may have heard our parents and grandparents, you know, say, make haste slowly. So when I shared, you know, with a friend that, you know, time, in my perspective, our best friend or our worst enemy, the response was, you know, the reason why that is that because we beat ourselves up. You know, our mind is usually keeping us up at nights. Maybe you find yourself in there, you're just constantly thinking, right? Some of us, we won't let go. We hold on to negativity. Or we forget, you know, the good things that life has to offer. We forget simple things like smiling. And then our bodies begin, as my friend said, you know, to take on the persona of who we are. And then, as a result, we become our worst enemies. Now, if you look at it from the Cayman context, it's often said the Caymanians are their worst enemies. We're going to change that, all right? We're going to change that. All right. The break, according to Susan, you know, is now. We're going to take that, and we're going to come back and we're going to take your calls. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. Wow. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
In order to facilitate pipeline improvement works in the area, Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise motorists and other road users that the westbound lanes only of Linford Pearson Highway between the Agnes Way roundabout and Bobby Thompson Way will be closed to vehicular traffic on Sunday, July 2nd from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. All westbound traffic on Linford Pearson Highway must detour through Agnes Way. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity, and all motorists are asked to drive with extreme caution to ensure their own safety as well as that of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of the motoring public and apologizes for any inconvenience this may cause.
Homeowners, protecting your family and property is crucial during the season, and you should always assess insurance needs long before a storm makes landfall. Most insurers won't issue new policies or increases when a storm is imminent. Cayman Insurance Center's team of professionals can help owners like you find the most comprehensive coverage and competitive rates. Call the insurance professionals at Cayman Insurance Center 949-4657 or email info@cic.com.ky. Don't take chances with your family's future or your valuable assets. Call Cayman Insurance Center's insurance professionals today at 949-4657.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
This is an important public service announcement. In accordance with the Standards in Public Life Act, this year's annual declarations to the Register of Interests must be submitted between the 1st of July and the 30th of July by persons in public life.
This includes members of Parliament, various categories of public officials, members of governing bodies of statutory authorities, government companies, and commissions created under the Constitution. The Register of Interest portal for the electronic filing of declarations will be accepting submissions from the 1st of July.
For more information or to determine if you are required under the Standards in Public Life Act to file a declaration, visit www.standardsinpubliclifecommission.ky/Register of Interests.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing us, and thanks for being a part of our open line discussion. The dialogue and discourse is only, better with your participation. Let's go to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Sterling.
Welcome back. Hi.
I had to call you back because I've been meaning to touch on this. A couple of weeks or so, I think Mr. Connor had HSA on his program, talking about the service and all that kind of stuff and how to get in touch with the hospital and so forth. And they were giving us, different ways of reaching into the hospital to talk to a live person. But I just wanted to say that I had an appointment on the 4th of June to see a doctor, and they call and cancel it. And today's the 30th, I think it is, of the month. And no one has called me to try to reschedule this appointment. So I called today, and I called a friend of mine, and she said that the individual is not in at this present time. But I just want to say that I don't know what is going down with the hospital, but it seems like you got the doctors running from one angle to the next, because I had an appointment there with another doctor, and I had to wait almost 2 hours to see that individual because she had to go and do hospital service in another department of the HSA. You understand? So it's like they're short of staff in air capacity. When am I going to get that appointment now that I had for the 1st of June? I don't have a clue, and they told me that looking like the individual could be back in September, but it shows no schedule of appointments that can be made, for when that individual comes back to work. So I don't know what's going on. And you had a customer call a couple of days, about a week or so ago, about blankets and all that kind of stuff and pillows at the hospital. So then when I had my first knee surgery, they had pillows and blankets at the hospital problem then. And this is over 4 years ago now that I'm with this knee problem. You understand?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And when I went back in there to do some scar tissue removal, they had me in intense in ICU or somewhere, some emergency section had me because of my heart rate, and I had a Rose Filipino as my nurse that night there, nice woman, and she couldn't find a blanket for me. And she came across one that she had there was actually belonged to her. It was in a wrap, and she had to make me use that blanket. And this is, like I said, over 4 years ago that this has been going on now with this situation at the hospital. and I talked to you just recently about mental health.
Right.
I had an appointment at the mental health on Smith Road last month, I think it was, a month before. And I went a bit early, and I told the lady that I was a bit early to say, well, the first patient hasn't been seen yet. And the first patient was supposed to be for 9 o'clock. And it was 9:30 then, and mine was for 10 o'clock. So I said, well, this is not going to work. So I told her I would leave. So no one called me to try to reschedule me until I went to see my doctor the other day, and she told me to go back and make an appointment again to see these people. Anyhow, I went and made an appointment. So I just wanted to say that I had mentioned that not only people who's on work permits or PR or our own Caymanians that is living on this island, I think we all need to be evaluated at some point in time, because nobody knows what anyone is going through. And what happens, Sterling, as we growing up in a small island, and everybody knew everybody, and everybody could have gone and talked to everybody, but it's like you don't have that communication anymore and trust anybody to go and sit and talk. And I just want to reach out to them and say that we need to talk a little bit more, try to find a pastor or whoever that we can find to talk to, because it does help at some point in time. And the stress that we are under right now on this island because of cost of living, and be able to find all our needs coming in by these boats and planes and so forth, it's not easy. I'm just asking people out there, don't give up. Just keep the faith and pray and trust in God and find someone that you're comfortable with to talk to. If you're not happy where you are, you move on and go somewhere else and look happiness, because only you can make yourself happy. No one can make you happy. So I just want to leave that out there, that the mental health and the department need to support her a little bit more regular, and all of these companies need to have their people go and do a yearly or every 6 months checkup. I don't care what it costs to find out what is on their mind or what medication they may need, or if they need medication, or they need to do less hours work on the job, or whatever the case may be. So I'm just reaching out this afternoon begging. Companies, consider your staff. Family, consider your family and friends. Sterling, I thank you so much. You have a great one.
You too. And thank you very much for calling back and sharing that. And really appreciate it. And as we go into the news break, as the caller shared, let's find someone that we have confidence in their competence, but also in their confidentiality in the conversation that we're going to have. And that thing, that we did once, we visited each other. We weren't just minding each other's business. We were truly, truly concerned about each other. We are and should be our brother's keeper. And you don't know what people are going through. It doesn't have to be something in their families or their business or financial. It could be a concern about something in the future. And they know they have no control over that because it's in the future. But many of us feel as if we're taking on the burdens of the world. That song that I attempted to sing, and hopefully brought a little laughter. Doesn't matter if it's at my expense. But, the lyrics sung by Aswad. You don't need to listen to the song if you don't like that genre. But read the lyrics. I don't remember it all, but we shoulder the burden to the world, right? Let's see if we can help someone else to lighten their burden. We got their backs. It goes a long way. All right, we're going to pause, and that's why I extended the invitation to Philip Richter. Come in and sit, we'll chat. Do not hold anything he says against him. It's his perspective. Do not beat him up for being in my company. It's not my intent to lead him down a path, and I will not, sort of be his defender, so to speak. But I will, if it means that you or anyone else, take shots at other people because of the company they keep. All right, we're going to pause. We're going to take the break, and when we come back, it's going to be open line, and we're going to find a time, a place, and a way to make it happen so that it's love. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
To facilitate the lying in state for the late Captain Eldon Kirkconnell today, the police are setting up several road closures. Fort Street will be closed between Seafarers Way and Edward Street, and at Albert Panton Street until 2:30 p.m. In international news, the U.S. Supreme Court has struck down U.S. President Joe Biden's proposal to wipe out billions in student debt. The 6-3 ruling effectively cancels the plan, which would have forgiven about $10,000 per borrower and up to $20,000 in some cases. But the plan has been in limbo since some conservative states sued, arguing the president overstepped his authority. The Supreme Court agreed. The decision affects the loans of more than 40 million Americans. Emmanuel Macron has accused protesters of exploiting the death of a teenager shot by police at point-blank range. At a crisis meeting, France's president said more officers would be deployed to contain the violence, but stopped short of declaring a state of emergency. He urged parents to keep rioting children at home and social media platforms to remove certain content. France has been rocked by 3 nights of unrest after Niall M., 17, was killed as he drove away from a traffic stop. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
the Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Following the 1932 hurricane, like most young men growing up in Cayman during the era, the call of the sea was heard more strongly than any other. Keith Tibbetts Sr. of Cayman Brac was no different. After assisting with the rebuilding of the family home, resurrecting the family car, and helping other relatives and the community rebuild, he built and sold several catboats before going to Jamaica to seek employment as a seaman. In 1936, he joined the Canadian banana boat Lady Somers and eventually found himself involved in the global war effort. Keith participated in the evacuation of Dunkirk in World War II. He served in the Merchant Marine from 1939 to 1940, and then as a seaman gunner on the Jamaica Pioneer. On D-Day, Keith Tibbetts was off the coast and an anti-aircraft gun. Following this, he joined the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, where he served until his ship was torpedoed and sunk by a German submarine. Following this, he took a job on a tanker, which was home-based in Trinidad for bunkering American convoys, carrying military personnel and supplies to the European allies, becoming chief engineer. Following the war efforts, Keith continued the shipping trade, moving into boat building with his brothers, joining the Trinidad Shipping Company and National Bulk Carriers. This was part 5 of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us as I make my chair a little more comfortable. Well, as promised, as expected, and as graciously received, if you look to my right, and maybe on your screen it'll be to your left, I don't know.
Who knows?
Mr. Philip Richter, good afternoon, my good friend. How are you?
I am honored to be here, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Honored that it's Friday. Honored that it's the Friday of a long weekend.
Yeah.
Things are looking great. It's going to be a great long weekend.
Amen to that.
We got KMAS happening tomorrow. That's going to be a great event. It's cool to see, how thousands of our citizens and people from all over the world can come and, and enjoy in something together.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I commend Fester, and his endeavors, and that he has said, off the bat, this is for adults, his events and stuff. And
adults need to let loose too.
And it's an interesting discussion. I'm probably the least equipped to. If I go tomorrow, it'll be the first time I've ever gone.
Yeah? You should, man. Give you something to talk about.
Yeah, as if I need more to talk about. But I was commended by someone who says, you're a good conversationalist, and the art of conversation is fast disappearing.
Yeah.
I've been to one of the other events, probably in the first year. And it's something that I'm looking at, trying to be a little bit more understanding of certain things, right?
Mm.
And the beautiful thing I think my father says to me, he says, the reason that God allows you to live to be old. I say, why? He said, because you can't make all the mistakes while you're young. Yeah, even one day you gotta make time, But life in saying this is why I'm glad that you, very grateful, honestly, that you would, as all of our guests who asked, take some time out of the day to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you delay your lunch or you run through your lunch, or you just come and we share. And especially on the eve of what is should be a very important holiday for us. The fact that it's still a constitutional order, that in itself should cause us to reflect on it and ask, well, what does that mean? How much control and input do we have? How much more autonomy should we ask for? How much more are we willing to accept? Because many of us would like authority, but we don't want a corresponding responsibility. Your parents give you the keys to the house. Oh, you're a big boy now, you got a house key. But are you responsible to make sure it doesn't get lost? Right?
Right.
And, we like the title, the pay, the position, and the prestige that comes with it.
But not the responsibility.
But boy, and that's the thing that we need to get. And then there are many of us who maybe believe that if we don't do it, it won't get done. Is it because we didn't delegate? Is it because we didn't help others to navigate that path so that they one day can take up the mantle, right?
I would say there's a few ways to look at this. There was maybe different schools of thought. There's one school of thought which is someone else will do it.
Sadly, yeah.
Clearly, because it's so important. Someone else, not me, but someone else will do it. And two, then there would be the people that don't need to be told.
Yeah.
They'll just do it.
Yeah. Two things jump out though. This idea in economics about the free rider, like you said, someone else will do it. We wait for it to happen, and then we benefit from the thing.
That would be quite reactive,
But subconsciously we'll do that,
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier because proactive approach, you have to forecast what will these actions do, what will these actions mean down the road, and so on and so forth. And some people just don't want to deal with that. I'd rather watch Netflix and catch up on The Office or whatever, rather than shaping the future, which sounds fun.
I tell you,
real hard.
I'd be mindful because I only learned this in recent times, right?
What's that?
I would say, chill and watch TV, chill and watch Netflix. Someone said Netflix and chilling. I didn't realize what I meant until recently. And I'm not 15 anymore, right? But I didn't know.
It happens.
It happens. But I will say to you that as you shared that, the words of Robert F. Kennedy when he said, if not now, when? If not me, who? Many of us need to ask that question. And it could be helping someone with something, maybe volunteering to do something, maybe consciously engaging in something, right? And we sit, we wait, and we expect others to do it because we probably think, well, we're not equipped God, we're told, doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called, right? We need to appreciate that with a sense of humility, honor, and integrity, we'll step forward and try to do our very best. But if we allow others to constantly be the ones who are, backing every drop of water, really, we need to figure out what contributions we can make, at least try, as we continue on, right?
Yeah, it's, again, a lot to unpack. It's funny you mentioned Robert F. Kennedy and his quote, because his son seems to be doing the same thing. Like, no, he doesn't like what he's saying, and he's running for president for it. And honestly, it's commendable. But I would say one thing, the main takeaway from what you just said is courage and bravery and daring. And you're changing, how to explain? You have the status quo or the mainstream current, right? And it's like, as an individual, do you just continue to go down it, even though you don't really like the path, but it's the least resistant? Or do you stand against the current, which is most resistant? But if you look at most great things in life, Tesla, electric cars, revolutions in technology, they were against the current, and they then shifted the current, right? Yeah. Look at a great example, I would say, is Blockbuster and Netflix. Netflix was like, no, we're going to change the current away from Blockbuster, and Blockbuster laughed at them when Netflix tried to say, hey, buy us. And now where's Blockbuster? And now where's Netflix?
You see,
they changed the current.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to have not just vision and passion. You have to stay in power. You got to be willing to believe and press on.
Yeah, right? That's self-assurance. Wow. You have to have like 3-inch steel, like a brain, you know what I mean? Just to go against like mainstream industry and do something new.
I look to the seafarers. I look to my father as an example, and I try hard to look in the mirror and examine me before I castigate or commend or condemn anybody else, right?
Right.
And men of his stature, men of his day, the courage that they had. I say this understanding that it hits close to home, but I also know that others experience it. Many have ventured out to sea and never returned.
Sea is a deadly place.
And we sit here today and we enjoy the fruits of their labor. Some of us are very disrespectful of their contributions, unknowing of it. We literally despise the fact that they're being recognized and given some token gesture, right?
That kind of hurts me too.
Yeah, man.
Because this country was built on the backs of the shipping industry, right? So to turn around and say no,
it's
almost a delusion.
Yeah, man. But it's also, not just a delusion, but for some of us, we suffer from delusions of grandeur, right? And others are allowing the Caymanian psyche and the Cayman to be diluted, right? The things that we stand for, the courage, the conviction, the sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
And one thing about the seafarers is it was like, where would one get that courage to go out to sea for months?
Yeah.
Right? Where does that come from? It comes from like a divine purpose.
Yeah, man.
And that was taking care of their family, taking care of their country.
I had an amazing, engaging conversation last evening, like I do in that setting so many times, and I'm so thankful for it. And to hear with not just purpose, but with a sense of reverence and a sense of sobriety, and probably a sense of urgency, the need for those of us in this country, whether we call ourselves Caymanian because we're generational, whether we've got started a couple of seconds ago, or hours or days or decades, or we're living and working here and we're looking around and go, not a bad place.
It's a great place. Strong currency.
Yeah. If we don't work together, right, and build it, maintain it, and ensure that the cultural ethos is one that won't accept littering of things, won't accept the criminal behavior, won't appreciate that Miss Susan is saying we got a WhatsApp call. And as we take that call, I just want to, from a very knowledgeable source, to our gentleman who called earlier, Mr. Subama, who asked a question and said to share that the reason why there are only 2 members of the Constitutional Commission that were present on Mr. Art's show this morning is because there are only 2, serving members currently. They're still waiting to, fill the seat for the 3rd member. So that was why.
All right, good to know.
So good, exactly. We take that call, Ms. Susan. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Joining me is the excellent company of Mr. Philip Richter. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. All right. If you're there, we'll figure out how to connect you. If you're not there, call back if you choose. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, there you are. Thank you. Sorry for, the red wire didn't work with the blue wire, but
here we are.
Here it is now. There you are. Thank you so much. Okay, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, okay, we're listening to you. Thanks for calling. Please share with us.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. I'm listening to your program, and on a daily basis, it seems like we always have the same problem of employment for Caymanians and non-Caymanians, residents, and those that bring in their kids. And I was listening to the lady that called before, and it's really sad to know that our Caymanian kids is here without a job. However, we're still looking at the people with residents bringing in theirs, which I don't have anything against that. But what I'm saying is that I, as an employer, I base my record of Caymanians and non-Caymanians on the amount of expats or work permits that I have. I try to match it with Caymanian employment, and I think that is just fair. Because they should have equal rights to be able to work in their own country. However, I'm unemployed for 3 years now, and I'm a school teacher, which is incredible. As a Caymanian school teacher with over 20 years experience, and I can't get a job here. I also have a 19-year-old daughter that has applied over 20 times for jobs that she's been denied of. However, I do not see any problem with the residents coming here and bringing their kids here and getting jobs for them. But I think that as Caymanians, they should have the same rights to get jobs in their own country. They should not have to leave Cayman Islands to go somewhere else to work because they're denied the opportunity to work in their own country. Because for me, as an employer, I'm a Caymanian and I'm an employer, and I have had young guys working with me out of Northwood, and I've had good results from those guys. They came, I give them the opportunity, they worked with me, they left and went to work somewhere else, and they got that opportunity to show that they can be responsible. Our young people need somebody to just hear them. They need somebody to give them the chance. How are we going to know if somebody is going to mess up if you did not give him the chance to show you that he's not? And I think that we should give that opportunity to our Caymanians as well as our people that is on residence. They should be given the same rights, to be able to work in their own country. So I don't have a problem with residents bringing in their children to work. But what I have a problem with is that me having a Caymanian, 2 Caymanians, that cannot get a job. To me, that is very unfair. And that's what I would like to say about that, because I think that they should not have to leave their country to look employment elsewhere when there's thousands of expats employed in the Cayman Islands.
Caller, if you don't mind, I'd just like to ask you a question. Do you think it has to do with qualifications between like an expat worker and a Caymanian worker? I'm just trying to figure out what the solution could be or where the cracks are so that, they can be identified.
Well, to me, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I don't think it has anything to do with qualifications nor experience, because I do have the qualifications and I have over 20 years experience. However, I have not been able to get a job in a government school. And you know, what is the requirement if being a Kimanian, having the qualification and the experience do not get you a job? Then what gets you a job? Yeah. What gets you a job if that can't get it? I mean, I understand my daughter. She's 19. She's just in college, but she's extreme. It's amazing what these kids can do when it come to technology, and they should be able to shine and show what they know in their own country. Why do they have to go do this somewhere else?
So if I may, I mean, and I'm hearing and listening to you, and I'm wondering to what extent, if any, national of a country, should not that citizen of that country have a preference in his or her own country?
That's what I'm saying, that as an employer, the same rights that I give my work permit holders, I try to give that respect to my Kimanians. I am not going to have a job available that I know I can get a Kimanian to do and give it to an expat. That is unfair to the people of this country.
If you don't mind me asking, in your process, how do you know in your company, how do you know the job is going to go to an expat compared to a Caymanian?
Well, because I employ expats and I know how many work permits I have in. So if I have a post available coming up that I know I can get a Caymanian, I start looking for the Caymanian before the job become available. So that when it's available, I have interviewed at least 3 or 4 people, and I know that I'm going to have one person on the job and the next one on standby just in case that one can't come or can't work a week, or, you know. And I think that these young Caymanians need somebody that can stand up and say, let me see if you can do this. Give them the chance to show you if they can do the job, instead of just saying, oh no, I'm not going to employ Caymanians because they're too lazy. That's not always true.
No, unfortunately that stereotype has stained the psyche of this country, and unfortunately. But I just want to ask, let's say you had just mentioned you would interview some locals before the job is open. If those 4 are not up to par, would you then get someone on work permit who has the qualifications to do that job?
Well, I would get somebody on a work permit if I all of the channels that I've tried to go through has failed me, but at least I'm going to have my conscience clear that I give that person the opportunity, because that's what the Caymanian young people needs. I mean, that's why Northwood is full of young people. Yeah,
it's sad. But
they're misunderstood, they're misheard, there's nobody to stand up for them. And I think, as I'm a mother of 2 young Caymanians, and do you know where one of them are? One of them is in Northwood Prison. You know why? Because out of 47 applications that he did, nobody gave him the opportunity to say, I can do this. And apart from all that he knows in computer, he is an all-round Caymanian. He can work in mostly any entity. However, nobody gave him the opportunity to prove himself. So where did he end up? Northwood, with 400 other young Caymanians. That is unfair to the Caymanian young people. They deserve to be given the opportunity to work in their own country without having to flee from here seeking employment.
Yes. I hope you don't mind me prying, but I just want to ask, when your son was applying for these 47 jobs you mentioned, did any of them give him a reason why he did not get it? You know, did he need a master's degree, or does he need like a certain certification, or is there something like that, or
as well? Hello.
You know, he was never given something. Well, on one of the applications, he actually started to work. And then because of him being involved in other stupidity while he couldn't get a job, I think he only lasted on that job for a week. But that was like 4 or 5 years of out of his employment years was already gone. So he had so much time to just get into everything that was wrong. If he was employed, look at my baby. She is in UCCI now, and she's been applying for a job from the time she graduated high school. This is 3 years out of her employment life that is gone, and she's not been employed yet. And she is not graduated. She's working towards her degree. But what I'm saying, let's give them a chance. Let's not just condemn them because everybody else does. As Caymanians, if we stand up for our Caymanians, then they might have a voice. But if we don't stand up for them, then who is going to stand up for them?
Yeah. It's a good point, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you for sharing those. I think that helps, create a clearer picture of what challenges there are in the workplace today.
Yeah. And thank you so much. And I would ask, as a community, to take on board what you shared and do two things: not just pray with and for, but let's be very deliberate in our endeavors to ensure that we stand and act, right? So, you keep advocating and keep, actioning so that there is something positive that comes out. Hey, thanks very much, all right?
All right, thank you too.
All the best.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Enjoy the weekend. Philip, as I listen to that caller, it is one thing to be stoic. It's one thing to be professional and don't let your emotions get you, right?
Stoicism.
I mean, that's the expectation of some, right?
Yeah. Masculinity.
But it would be difficult to listen to that caller and hear the heart and not feel something. I want to maybe share. Susan says, let's take a break. We can take the callers. But as we go into the break, what that caller said isn't just a high school graduate who's continuing education and during that time looking for employment in those latter teen years. It's the college graduate who's come back with a master's degree, who's said publicly.
Yes.
Not 1, not 10, but increasingly countless numbers can't find a job, or being told you can get a job, but we're not going to hire you with your qualifications at this level that you would, and that is probably given to someone on the work permit. You're going to have to take this level job. So there is something that is afoot. But let's talk about that. Let's join this caller after this break. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Prevention is key. Is your heart at risk? During the month of June, Baptist Health International is offering special pricing for cardiac CT scan for calcium scoring for just 99 CI to patients at high risk for heart disease, the leading cause of deaths worldwide. You are a candidate if you are 40 to 65 years old and have any of the following risk factors: obesity, current or recent smoker, family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. To request an appointment or for more information, call 749-3304 or visit baptisthealth.ky.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes sightseeing, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
The 2023 Household Budget Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The data collected from the survey will determine the items and the dollar value of these items that are included in the new Consumer Price Index basket of consumer goods and services for the Cayman Islands. Trained interviewers with identification cards from the ESO will visit 2,400 randomly selected households across all districts. The Household Budget Survey will run for 1 year, ending February 2024. Approximately 200 households will be interviewed each month. The interviews are confidential in accordance with a Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For further information on any aspect of the Household Budget Survey, please contact the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Victor for being our guest. We got a couple of calls on the line. We're going to take them all. It is open line, and he's sitting here helping me. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. It's me again.
Welcome back, me again.
yeah. That's my name. My name is me. I don't have a name.
First name me, last name again.
Yeah, man.
Well, good afternoon to Mr. Richter, who has just joined you.
Good afternoon.
Look, good afternoon. You see, this whole issue, I am not able to understand this issue about why Caymanians can't get jobs and all that. I can't understand that, because in the country I came from, it was dealt with totally differently and it was effective. Fair enough, it's a country far from Cayman. It is a country which is a so-called independent country. It's not an overseas territory. So I do appreciate that not everything can be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I don't understand this matter about how Caymanians can't get a job. Now, let me give you an example of how intractable the problem is. I'm not saying anything you don't know, anybody doesn't know yet. A few years ago, about maybe 2018 or so, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, then in the backbench, introduced a motion in Parliament where he said that government should be asked to set targets as to how many people should be, the percentage of people who should be Caymanian, like among heads of departments and deputy heads of department by a certain date. Okay? Now, to me, it was very modest because I think he only said heads of department and deputy heads of department. But do you know what happened when he went to the Legislative Assembly? First of all, the government opposed the motion. More than that, even some of his own members of the opposition didn't support the motion. Do you see what the problem is? There is no commitment either on the government side or on the opposition side to doing something like that. I suggested one time when I was on I think it was OC's show, I said, well, look, there had been a problem which arose, which was that the deputy governor, I believe, was saying, well, look, government cannot tell the civil service who to appoint. that is up to the deputy governor and the chief officers. And that is correct. But what I suggested, I said, well, look, but the people in government are elected by the public so that they can meet certain targets. If they've got no jobs, they go to the politicians, they say, you give us the jobs. So what I suggested was, can the deputy governor draw up a program, succession programs for different departments, set targets, and then go to cabinet, have cabinet approve those targets, and then the cabinet will say, well, if you can't meet these targets by this date, can you meet them earlier if we give you more money so that they can provide the necessary funding necessary for training and all those kinds of things. To deal with this issue where politicians were being told we can't control what the deputy governor does. But nobody has ever taken that up. The problem, though, fundamentally, is that there is no accountable government in Cayman. Each government comes in and does a few good things here and there, but there's no accountable government. There is no way that you are going to have Caymanians get jobs if there are no targets in government. Private sector is a little more difficult because you control it mainly through just work permits. But in the government, you can control it by decisions that are being made in the government. But the problem is that there's no accountable government. The people in Cayman who control the government are not the electorate. Let somebody say it. The people who control the government are the people in the private sector and the other people who tell the government what to do. The handlers, they are the ones who decide. I remember years ago it was decided that when it was decided rollover should come in, it was supposed to apply to the government. And Mr. McCarthy, then as chief secretary, issued a circular to say this thing now is coming, there will be rollover in government. But those same handlers went and influenced the government to remove rollover in government. Do you see where it has wound up? A lot of people who are now in government experts, they've got status, residence, and this and that, totally blocked out Caymanians. Okay? And I can go on giving examples. And then there were the major status grants in 2003, which is the time I came to the Cayman Islands. That was done at that time, and somebody didn't think through everything because the handlers again said we want this to be done. If you look at those two events, mass grants together with the failure to introduce it in government as rollover policy, it has had such an impact that today Caymanians, the reason you can't get jobs is not because there is some little problem here, maybe qualifications. Yes, there are also certain individual issues like that, and I think you were very right to ask those questions. But fundamentally, it is because nobody wants to do anything. Last point. Let me make the last point. When I was appearing regularly on Crosstalk before it went off air, especially in 2018, we spoke about I remember Elio Solomon, the Honorable Elio Solomon, he suggested at that time, he said, why can't we have certain jobs just for Caymanians? And they said, oh, but we can't do that. I agreed with him and I said, start with a short list, a small list of jobs that are for Caymanians only, but manage it. Always look at it and manage it. If it causes a problem, you reduce them. If it doesn't cause a problem, you increase them. Even that was unacceptable. So the problem is lack of accountability. The people in Cayman need to rise up and tell the government that they are not elected to fatten their pockets. They are elected to do the work of the people. I thank you.
So, caller, if I could just... Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Okay.
Gone?
You there, sir? All right, well...
Oh, dang. I wanted to ask him because he had mentioned his country, and it'd be interesting to get a little...
Perspective
and a little contrast and comparison.
What's interesting, though, it's the same in almost every country except Cayman, that as we take this next caller, I can share with you that people in their country looking for volunteer positions, right?
Right.
As part of their sort of educational criteria for graduation and promotion and the like, are challenged at times. But they can do it in Cayman much easier. All right, let's take this next caller. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for sharing.
Good afternoon. I heard the first part of the program, you were talking about the Constitution. I'm not sure exactly what the general subject is now.
It's open in the Constitution for many reasons, not only because it's probably the second most important book in this country, but also Monday being a holiday, and let's just appreciate what it is and maybe talk more about it so that it becomes a little bit more comfortable in our ears.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got a few quotations from people who I guess dealt quite intimately with constitution, constitutionalities, and all this kind of stuff over the years. That may give us some food for thought on this constitutional weekend. And I'll start with actually one from, he was a Caribbean person, Alexander Hamilton. Mm-hmm. And this is about constitutions. In 1778, he said, the aim of every political constitution is or ought to be first to obtain for rulers men who possess most wisdom to discern and most virtue to pursue the common good of the society, and in the next place to take the most effectual precautions to keep them virtuous while they continue to hold their public trust. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know how many people can remember all that, but anyway, it's
Hamilton.
Some food for thought. Another one, this was from Charles Hughes, and this was 1907. We are under a constitution, but the constitution is what the judges say it is, and the judiciary is the safeguard of our liberty and of our property under the Constitution. Now, I think something came up, I think, in some of those earlier discussions about the judiciary.
Mm-hmm.
While, you're dealing with constitutions, you can't separate them very far from politics and politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Another one from John Marshall. The people made the Constitution, and the people can unmake it. It is the creature of our own will, and lives only by their will. A few more, and then and this one is from Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who is the former president of the U.S. during the war years. The liberty of a democracy is not safe if the people tolerate the growth of private power to a point where it becomes stronger than their democracy. Now that should give some people, or give us all,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
state, or their democratic state itself, that in its essence is fascism. Ownership of government by an individual, by a group, or by any other controlling private power. And I think I got two more here that maybe I'd like to just,
mm-hmm.
just let me see if I can find that.
But that's an interesting quote about a private power taking over or like controlling a government, which therefore you'd control the country.
Look at Hawaii at one point, huh?
It could be revealing, huh? Okay, Thomas Jefferson, and this kind of correlates constitutions and politics and politicians. If I could not go to heaven but with a party, I would not go there at all.
That's
another one from Charles de Gaulle. Politics are too serious a matter to be left to politicians. And the last one here, I think, it says, the political problem of mankind is to combine three things: economic efficiency, social justice, and individual liberty. And all those things, I think, probably comes up in the discussions that's been going on. So that's just some food for thought. I think that all of us maybe should at least think about what the Constitution is. It is the people's Constitution, and while it's, I think, a living document, there's necessity for changes along the way. So,
mm-hmm.
have the Constitution there.
Right.
Hey, thanks.
Hey,
Thanks for those quotes.
Thanks too, man.
Very insightful. I'll definitely be thinking about them.
Yeah. As we go into the break, one comes to mind that talks about if your government is big enough to give you,
everything you want,
and
take it away.
It's big enough to take it away, all right? And I think that's something that we should reflect on. I mean, the notion that I say the best government is the one which governs the least. What's that effect? All right.
Which I have to ask is like being a libertarian. Is that just like a pipe dream? Like how like the socialists, they want like the utopia.
Yeah.
That's a pipe dream. But is being a libertarian a pipe dream too?
I think one of the challenges, so maybe we talk about it. Our willingness to assign labels.
The labels and the boxes.
We label children. He's a troublemaker.
Mm-hmm. He's a bad apple.
He's diagnosed with such and such, right? Not saying that we should not provide assistance, whether that's medically through prescription, whether that's some sort of other assistance, right? But by labeling people, even the titles we ascribe to people sometimes, and on the political and economic systems, that's a communist or socialist or capitalist state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we fail to appreciate the importance of collective sort of ownership, the importance of economies of scale, the idea of public goods. You have money, so therefore you can afford education and health care. You don't have any, so you're relegated to, the charity of others.
Right.
Wow. All right, when we come back from the break, I'll invite you, if you so choose, to welcome us.
Honored.
Would you do that?
Oh,
all right. Philip Richter, he sits with us. He shares his lunchtime. We're appreciative. It is open line, and I will make no apology for what I say. I take a responsibility and accountability. My own apology would be if I offend you directly, and it's unintentional, then I should apologize for that. But if I say, man, get up, stand up, and fight for what you believe in, and you're offended by that, well, I take responsibility for that. All right.
Good to know.
After the break, join us after.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place for traditional Cayman cuisine. Oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
As a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from July 9th through 15th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Mango season, you gotta love it! The Cayman Islands National Museum is pleased to feature Look Ya! The family-friendly Mango Fest at the museum. Saturday, July 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Purchase mangoes and other products by local artisans and specialty vendors. Local food, live music, mango peeling and eating competition. Take in the sweet and unique flavors of the long, round Julie mango and so many more. Look Ya! At the museum on the waterfront. Saturday, July 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Friday edition of Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. I am filling in. Well, I'm not filling in. I'm just an honored guest, super honored guest, honored times 2 guest here. My name is Philip Richter, and Sterling, how are you doing today?
Awesome, my friend. Thank you for playing along. You know.
Hey, anytime. I love games.
And I'm hoping that as our people are listening, that they'll be encouraged, motivated, inspired, feel a sense of being nurtured. We got a WhatsApp call, Miss Susan? Let's try it, you know.
All right. Let's roll the dice.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I think we can.
Oh, good. I'm calling from the mother country, Caymanian over here in the UK.
Oh, I thought you meant Cameron back when you said mother country. But, okay.
Yeah. So I've been listening to your program this morning, boy. It looked like nothing for me to come back to. I'm getting kind of worried.
Wow. You know,
it doesn't sound further down there.
What in particular? What is unattractive for you to come back home? What is making you look from sunny England, looking over in the Caribbean and going, nah, not for me?
Yeah, you're right. It is sunny right now, and it is beautiful in the summer. I must say that.
Yeah, it is.
All the flowers are coming out and everything. It's really nice.
Okay.
What's looking scary is there's probably no jobs. And
wow.
One of the things I've been listening to this program and a couple of other programs too is and one thing that comes to mind, maybe might seem a bit stupid, is crazy question. Why are work permit holders motivated to apply for citizenship, then move on to status? What's encouraging them to do that? What's wrong with just working in the islands, contributing your service, and then when your time is up, you can leave and go back to your home?
Well, I can answer a fraction of this.
I'm seeing that over here in the UK, where people come, people go, people come, people go. So I mean, why do they want to become Caymanians?
It's a beautiful place to live, sunny weather all year round. Strong infrastructure, great currency.
Let me ask the question in another way. Is it possible, all right? Would it be accepted internationally? Because we seem to think that the dictates of the international arena should direct our own local endeavors, right? But be that as it may, that a person can come, enjoy security of tenure, freedom, and all other things. But despite their tenure, their time that they're physically here, that in and of itself does not give them any right. And I use the word citizenship because I'm told that that's not the right word, because we can only grant Caymanian status. But I'll leave that to the academics to debate. So would it be okay if we could provide a means whereby people could come here and they could stay for as long as they wanted, abiding by the laws, fulfilling all the criteria, and enjoying all the freedoms and liberties and everything else, but not, have the right, as we were told that they should have, to apply for citizenship? Now, I ask that question because in number, and increasingly so in recent times, an increasing number of people who are now foreign nationals say, I wouldn't mind that. I'm from this country, and I don't have any desire to be Caymanian, right? In that sense. So what the two questions you've asked, or the two questions on the table, one for you, one for me. What are your thoughts? I mean,
me the caller?
Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. We want to give you the preference, you know.
I think what you just said, that they should be just given their when their time is up. I believe that they should leave, and then that would create room for the up and coming Caymanian who would be qualified for the job, and whether it's a high schooler or someone who's studying abroad like myself, and we can fulfill that position. And because when they apply for residency or status, like you said, then they're permanently there forever. We're never going to get a chance to work in our country or survive in our country because they're now fixed in that position. They can get a job anywhere. They're blocking us at every corner. So when they're on a work permit, when the time is up, then and a Caymanian is ready to take over, then they can just move on. That's how I look at it.
That is a perspective, but before I could Phil,
where to begin? I've quite a many questions for you. Number one, we're going to start with your intro statement when you said that there are no jobs for Caymanians, or no jobs. I mean, there's 36,000 work permits, so clearly there is employment. So if you could just go in a little more detail, so I can see what do you see to make you say a statement like that?
Well, what I'm saying is that the business owners, for some reason they do not want to hire Caymanians from the soil, let's say it like that. I don't know why it's better for them to hire a work permit holder. I don't know if it's cheaper labor or whatever, why they go down that road. But and some of these, when I was back home, I've seen posts created for some people.
Right.
A post was never there, but they create a post, and then they get a work permit for that post.
Right.
I've seen that. I used to work in the hotel industry, and posts were created, just popping up all over the place. So I mean, some of these jobs that we're looking at, and so a Caymanian can do the job, but at some point that job didn't really exist. That post was created for the work permit holder, So I mean, that's one of the problems I think for us.
Sorry, Sterling. So would you like to see some more succession planning? So for example, you had mentioned that when they finish their work permit, then a Caymanian takes their role. But how in business it would be nice to have someone of the same caliber, of the same skill sets to take that role, so that the operations of the business can maintain. So is some more succession planning or training to improve the qualifications of the staff, is that something that you'd like to see?
Yes, I would like to see that. You can have a apprentice work alongside the person that's on the work permit, and train alongside them and learn from them, and and let I think, and let the work permit understand, this is the way it is, and this is the way the system is here now in the Cayman Islands. If a qualified Caymanian is ready to do what you're doing, then they're going to take over from you.
I just
give them that indication. But right now we're giving them the indication that Caymanians will never be qualified and never be equipped. So we're going to give you the job, and then after that you can go apply for residency. Then you can get your status, and you're going clear. So that's what we're telling them right now. That's
I have to. I'm sorry. One thing I'm having a hard time is these vague statements, which for me, in just looking around and with the people I know and whatnot, I'm seeing some of what you're speaking about, but I'm not seeing all of it. It's not with not saying you, but with vague statements, it's dangerous, because if anyone were to just take what you said point blank, there would only be a finite number of jobs, and only Caymanians can get in. if a work permit holder leaves, but that's simply not the case. So I'm just trying to fully understand your viewpoint, where you're coming from and what you're seeing.
Yeah. Let me invite you, if you incline and if you have time, we have a news break to take. Are you amenable to continue the discussion, or you want to join us another time after the news?
I'll have to join you another time.
Yeah, I recognize the time difference. Yeah, but thank you for that. You've put a couple of points out there. I can respond to them from some of our listeners, and feel like I can have a banter. But thank you. Listen, for what it's worth, don't be discouraged. Don't become despondent. Don't have a sense of despair and hopelessness, right? And recognizing that what you're facing, many of our people even here are considering leaving, and perhaps that's where many of us who are here know better step up and figuratively speaking, shake the tree a bit and challenge those. All right,
Caller, I'm not saying that I was attacking you, but we are seeing a brain drain, right? And if we don't address these issues or speak about them in depth, I don't think we'll ever get an answer, So to hear your viewpoints and things like that, I do believe these are the questions that we do need to be addressing in full detail, rather than just saying a vague term and calling it a day.
Right. Hey, thank you very much, and enjoy what probably, isn't as good as weather, but probably the best you'll get while you're over there. So all the best to you, and be safe, be well, my friend. All right?
Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay.
Bye.
With a pause, take the news. Maybe you'll bring us back. We'll see. Yeah. Philip Richter sits. Call lines are there, so shout, share. Stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
The Constitutional Commission has released its annual update, which coincides with Constitutional Day, a public holiday being observed this Monday, July 3rd. The update highlights major constitutional events in the year since the last Constitution Day in 2022, including the appointment of Her Excellency the Governor, Mrs. Jane Owen, and Chief Justice, Honorable Margaret Ramsey Hale. In international news, the French government has authorized the use of armored vehicles to try to prevent further rioting over the police killing of a teenager at a traffic stop. Bus and tram services will be shut overnight. President Macron said that some people were exploiting the 17-year-old's death to create disorder. There has been an unusual rise in the number of children and teenagers around the world diagnosed with type 1 diabetes since COVID. That according to researchers. A new study in JAMA Network Open Journal has collated available data from different countries, including the UK, on more than 38,000 young people diagnosed during the pandemic. The authors described the increase in cases of diabetes as substantial. More work is needed to understand why the rise is happening, they say. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good Friday afternoon. My name is Philip Richter here. I am honored to be joined by Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks for this Friday edition of Talk Today. A beautiful Friday, that is, because it's a long weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Richter, for joining us. There's some calls in the queue, Miss Susan. All right, got a call. She's going to connect us up.
All right.
And while here are a couple of things. Says good afternoon. I think the reason why people want Cayman status is some of them can get, or so some can get citizenship of the UK, and also some have visa opportunities, the US visa opportunities. Some of them are probably thinking of for the future, the benefits for themselves and their families. All right, other messages.
Can you blame them? I can't.
Hey, good passport to how they say it. The call is ready, man. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for sharing.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, another intellect. Good afternoon, man. How are you?
I was just listening in. I wasn't going to call in because there's a was a good conversation. I just wanted to. I only called in because I realized that Mr. Richter misunderstood what the gentleman from overseas was saying, and I just wanted to make sure that there's great clarity to what the young man was saying because, I understood completely what he said, and for your benefit, Mr. Richter.
Yes.
He didn't make a vague statement. He made a very clear statement that is painfully obvious and taking place in Cayman, and you even supported what he said with not realizing it, and that was when you guys asked him the question, what he sees from overseas being an issue in the Cayman Islands, and he made it very clear, job opportunities, and then you went on to say, oh well, there are 36,000 work permits, so can you give us more detail? Well, what more detail now you need? If there's 36,000 work permits, that means there are 36,000 jobs available, right? And that also means that those 36,000 jobs are already taken. And that's what the young man was trying to express. That he's not saying that there's not jobs, but they're being limited to the young Caymanians and anybody who's Caymanian who is trying to vie for these jobs. Now, we've seen where institutions, I won't call any names, obviously, because I'm not getting into name calling, but we've seen multiple institutions throughout the Cayman Islands in all sectors enjoy cheap labor, enjoy work permit holders because they have better autonomy and control over those persons, right? We've seen it. Now, what I believe is one of the other key factors for young Caymanians who are abroad getting education to come back to deal with is the cost of living. Cost of living is just as important as getting a job.
Yes.
Because no sense in having a job if you still can't afford to live in your own country. I heard him talk about minimum wage yesterday, and it was almost laughable because even if you're making $25 an hour, you still can't afford to pay $12.99 for a bottle of ketchup and $13 for a loaf of bread. So, and all of these exorbitant rates at the bank with the Fed rate affecting the Cayman dollar. I mean, these are the things that our government should have control over, but they don't take no priority. And to Mr. I think it was Billy Samamba, the guy that called in that got cut off.
No, sorry. He disconnected. He did message back to say, yeah.
To his point, I want to thank him. I hope he's still listening because he said something that was critically important. Is whenever certain politicians, because of who they are and what demographics they come from, they put good motions through to the floor of the House and they get shot down simply because of the messenger, right? And he said that's because we don't have any governments that are being held accountable. And he's absolutely right. We've never seen anything that's geared towards for sustainability for the average Caymanian. We've seen everything geared towards anybody who wants to come here and call Cayman home. So to you all point, why people on work permit feel like they should apply for PR and status simply because they can, and it's pretty obvious that the economy in which they come from isn't as good as ours. The environment is not as good. So why would they not want to live in Cayman? And if there's nothing that's stipulating that they can't, then why wouldn't they not apply? We need immigration reform. We need a lot of reform around here in order to fine tune who can become and who can't become, and what's for Caymanian and what's not for Caymanians. And the reality is that the system is broke. And every politician that get in just kicks the can down the road and with nothing but an abundance of fear to change it because it's going to piss off their right or left wing friends, you see. And that's the problem that we have in Cayman. Nobody have enough courage to make the necessary change to make sure that the Cayman brand and the Caymanian people at least have an opportunity to be first at the table. So the young man across the pond, you don't lose no faith, my friend. We got people that are well aware of your concerns, and you hit the nail on the head. Of course, you have to have concerns about job placement when you get back home. Why? Because we derive a lot of money that fills our GDP on giving out work permits. That's one of the biggest problems we got. So I'll leave you there.
Hey, thank you for always perspective. Before we take the call, Mr. Richter?
No, I just want to say thank you. One of these days, you should come on and we will have a lengthy discussion about employment and all these other issues that you had mentioned. I don't believe we can even scratch the surface in a couple minutes, but this definitely.
I like the idea. I'll extend the invitation.
Yeah.
Phil Victor one corner and Rain in another.
Yeah, Rambo.
We gotta do that.
Not Rambo. Rocky.
We gotta do that.
Rocky
we gotta do that. I'll set that up.
But yeah, these are conversations that we need to happen, right? But.
And they will.
They will. But we need to do them lengthy and bring out stats, things like that as well, to create a clear picture of exactly
objective,
what
impartial,
we're talking about.
Yes, civil, sensible discussion. Let's take this call, all right? One of others. Good afternoon, welcome. Thank you for calling too.
So, Edwin?
Hey, good afternoon, man. How you doing?
Mario Ebanks, how you doing?
Oh, man, I am highly favored, healthy. Some even call me handsome. I tell you, boy.
Very good. Also, good afternoon to your co-host there.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Banks.
Good afternoon. Just like the caller just before me, I didn't really plan to call in. I was just listening while I worked. But once I heard the call from the young man from the UK, I believe he's a student in the UK, it certainly alarmed me sufficiently to break my silence for a bit and comment. And I want to associate myself with many of the comments that the previous caller made as well in regard to the need for reform. I had a conversation a few weeks ago with a young Caymanian at a function dealing with climate change policy, and he said to me he's so discouraged. Many of his friends from high school and those who have left high school and gone to college and left Cayman are so discouraged that they don't even want to come back to Cayman. Many of them have sought jobs in Europe and in Canada and wherever else they can find jobs to stay there to get experience, but they don't plan to return, which alarmed me even more. And so I think we really need to have a conversation very, very soon. We can't kick the can down the road much longer. A conversation about the need for a proper long-term development plan for these islands, a human capital development plan as well, which is very much a part of that. The whole issue of permanent residency and status, the requirements for that, who qualifies, who doesn't qualify, whether we need to tweak it, to change it, or throw it out, whatever we need to do. We need to do it because if you have our young people, the brain power of this country, who are getting so discouraged that they don't want to return or they're feeling despondent like this, I think it's a national crisis brewing, and we cannot play around with it much longer. Of course, all of this, as you know too, gentlemen and listeners, was made even worse by the Caymanian status grants by the cabinet, UDP cabinet in 2003. That made the situation even worse, because a lot of that stuff now that many of us crying in the wilderness in 2003, 2004 about what was going to happen to that were ignored, but now the chickens are coming home to roost in regard to that. So I think we definitely need to have that conversation that Mr. Richter talked about, and maybe a series of conversations to talk about these issues, a national conversation about our long-term development, about our human capital development, and immigration reform, the whole issue of progressive rights that we have now that move people into PR, whether there's an alternative for that. I've put out some ideas in the past about alternatives for PR, and also the issue of Caymanian status, whether we got to rethink the criteria for it, who can qualify, who can't qualify, and what alternatives exist to ensure that we also protect the economy, help the economy, but also protect our people and make sure that we have peace and prosperity for our people above all.
If I can maybe ask you a quick, maybe two questions. One, there's some who have said that...
Your questions are all very detailed, but go ahead.
Yeah, but when you have a strong intellect, and sometimes you exercise it, right? Some have suggested that whether consciously or otherwise, inadvertently, there's a social engineering or social re-engineering taking place in this country. What's your perspective on that?
As I told you, your questions are always multi-part and at a very high level. I don't know about social engineering. What I know about is that we need to have a conversation about where we want to be in 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years from now. And we've got to have everybody engaged in that, and we've got to look at what is the vision. We had Vision 2008. That was a 10-year plan that was rolled out in 2007 or 2008 or whatever it was, a 10-year plan. A lot of that stuff was very, very good. Included a lot of people in this country, Caymanians, non-Caymanians, young, old, black and white, and a lot of stuff in that plan didn't get implemented because of political lack of political will. We got to have a national development plan that transcends the entire country and is taken away from the political directorate, whether it comes under the governor or whether it comes under a national development plan council, so that even after elections, this plan can continue to be implemented and it doesn't change by the government changing.
Yeah, but wasn't the Vision 2000...
social engineering that you're talking about,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My friend,
yeah.
The social engineering you're talking about is I think we need to have a proper long-term development plan, a conversation and a commitment to it, but put in place a framework where once that plan is accepted, that it cannot be tinkered with after every election. So it lives on, and that we'll have a proper future for the country as opposed to a politically driven start-stop agenda.
Right. I guess with Vision 2008, the idea, 97, 98, we did this with the intent that 10 years hence, that would be what we would be looking at. I'll respect the break and defer my question for another time.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. And I keep up the good work, good conversation, gentlemen. God bless and have a good, long, safe weekend.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. You
All
too.
right. We'll take this break, final one, and then take the callers after. Stay tuned.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes sightseeing, Christmas deliveries, restoration, and social services.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
South Coast Bar and Grill by the seaside, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, lunch and dinner. Call us at 947-2517.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
Yo, big up Massive. Listen up, we got some good news for you. Digicel is bringing you the hottest deal in town. Send top up hassle-free to Jamaica with the My Digicel app. No fees for a limited time. Me people, it's pure love from Digicel. Send credit from the My Digicel app, any kiosk, or go to a Digicel store and show your loved ones in Jamaica you care. They will stay connected, chat, and stream without them fees. Spread the word. This is a big deal. Tell your mother, father, uncle, auntie, brother, sister, and friend. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Send top up to Jamaica today. Digicel, the ultimate connection.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit Digicel's website or contact customer support for more info.
The hurricane season is here. Are you ready? If not, now is the time to prepare. Follow the Water Authority on social media for important announcements and survival tips throughout the hurricane season. You can download free preparedness brochures from the Water Authority's website, www.waterauthority.ky. Be aware, be safe, be prepared.
Freedom, Cayman Brac. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, and this is the final segment for this beautiful long weekend edition of Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. I am the most honored guest, Philip Richter. I'm here. We're talking anything you guys want to talk about. Been having some conversations about the employment sector. I don't know exactly what to call it. I'm not good with words. I'm like my friend here, Sterling Dwayne. Sterling, why don't you take it over before I trip up on myself?
No, man. You're doing an excellent job. Thank you. And honestly, I hope people appreciate that, a job like this,
ain't
if
easy.
you do it with the respect, with the humility, with my personal perspective, right? You're trying to facilitate discussion, encourage and nurture conversation. It's not me on a soapbox. Increasingly, I'm asking us to consider, in the words of Robert F. Kennedy, if not no, when, if not me, who, whether that is joining a service club, volunteering through your church, your PTA, going out with your community group to not just pick up the litter that is there, but how do we ensure that it's not something we have to do every day because a cultural ethos is just one of nastiness, as the Honorable Tourism Minister has shared. But also, what about our young men and women who are in school, who graduate high school, who are in university, who may have gone afoul of the law and now in some level of detention, right? What are we doing to make sure that there's a future for them? Employment, opportunity, education.
All right. I'm going to go with, there's many schools of thought on this that I have, but I'm going to go with one. How about creating your own destiny?
Okay.
And all right, let's go with the high schooler, right?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. And I was just going to say unfortunately, but it really doesn't matter. Life is much harder now than it was then, right? With LinkedIn, you are competing with everybody in the world for a position. And especially when you live in the most beautiful island in the Caribbean where, everyone wants to move to. If you are a banker in, Nova Scotia, gets quite cold in the winter. Maybe you decide, I don't want to deal with the cold anymore. I'll move myself to the Cayman Islands, get myself a nice banking job, live my life. You know what I'm saying? No more winter, no more this, no more nothing. Just blue skies from here on out. That's his right. And with the internet and LinkedIn and all these things like that, and the recruitment industry and so on and so forth, these things are now the reality. So for a high schooler who is looking to get into banking, I would recommend, when you're in school, intern at a bunch of different places, find an institution you like, maintain a good relation, then go to college.
Yeah.
And when you come home from college, you go to that bank and you work. And even if you just work there.
But respectful though.
And my main point, just to wrap up this diatribe, is you need to create a relationship between you and the institution you would like to work for, so that when you are up against John from Nova Scotia, Kat from Malaysia, so on and so forth, the bank can go, well, we know Sterling.
Yeah.
Known him since he was a kid. He's a good guy then, he's a good guy now. Right. Hard worker, and he's willing to learn. And that would be the edge, I would say.
But we need to ensure that there are opportunities for that person in high school, that person in university.
Look, there are opportunities, and this is why these conversations need to be lengthy, because I've heard it on this show too. You have big world-renowned institutions coming on radio and going, "Hey, we're hiring. You know, hey, we got some summer jobs coming up. Apply."
Or is it lip service?
Well, why would hey,
okay.
I can't answer.
All right.
I can't answer if it's lip service, but I can say, listening to people coming on air and saying that they're hiring and whatnot, well, clearly they want to get the word out that they're looking for people.
We had a WhatsApp call.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, WhatsApp call.
Yeah. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for...
Good afternoon. Sorry, calling a little bit late.
That's okay, man. Never late, man. Better late than never.
Well, here I'm talking about my favorite subject today, capitalism.
Yes, sir.
That is all. What I'm talking about that today is all tied to capitalism and the capitalistic system. It boils down to that. When you got a capitalist running a society, this is the kind of thing that can happen. Look on to the UK. I mean, that young man just called. He from the UK, but the UK is under that same system, and what is happening to them is the same thing that is passing on to the United States. Is the capitalist system that is running all over the world. People can't get work, and when they do get work, they're paying enough to keep up with the inflation and the cost of living. All that is capitalism. If it was a socialism now, and when I say socialism, people get scared. People think the kind of socialism that I talk about. If we can get handout from the government, no, we need a socialist system that.
So
yeah, we're losing you, sir.
You're in and out, but I hope you come back, because I'd really enjoy to hear this last point, because to your point about, people get scared of socialism. Yeah, like where socialism worked. That was my first thing, but then you started to say yet another vision of socialism is very very intrigued.
We'll continue the discussion, and thank that caller. I don't know what happened then, but let me read a couple of these messages. Right? One of our listeners says, for example, in banking, building relationships as interns, the HR isn't in-house anymore, right? And that's a thing that we're hearing increasingly, right? Here's another comment from one of our listeners. It says, good afternoon. I think the reason why people want Cayman status, let's hold that one later.
Let's go too spicy.
Yeah, let's. I don't want to edit that one. Just yet. Says government jobs, for example, are a joke. HR no longer pro-Caymanian. Right. So this is the second message with the same train. Staff hassle when they want time for the civil service college training. Government and the statute-owned government companies could hire, for example, 500 Caymanians this summer if they simply replace the security guard contracts throughout government with good, trained, young, and mature Caymanians. This could then lead to their careers in uniformed services. But no. Hopefully I read how that was written. There are a couple like that.
To that point, are there qualified Caymanian security guards?
What qualifies? Okay, let's read this one. This one I want to read it verbatim because this was interesting how this was written, right? This one talked about having qualifications, and come on now, there's so many. It'll come back to me. This one said, I got the qualifications, I had these many years experience, I've been trying to get a job even in the government, not given the opportunity, but never being told as to, what the reason, what's the minimum criteria, and the like.
I think that would be very helpful to know where people fell short. Because if they're like, listen, the guy we gave it to, he had a bachelor in this or or something or another, and then you can go like, okay, I can go UCCI or ICCI and equip myself with the necessary degrees and certifications that I can advance myself.
And this is it, man. One of the listeners says, we need to restrict HR managers and directors to be Caymanian only. Another message came in, and that's the one I was kind of hesitant to. But it said, yeah, we're Caymanian, but are we Caymanian? I messaged back, and the person responded, is a person with status in their minds Caymanian, do they share the same? These are different word, but I'll substitute ethos, right? Now, I get in some heated discussions with people because, to my understanding, if you're Caymanian because you have ancestral links generation, or you're Caymanian because you've got some sort of grant or otherwise, by law you're Caymanian, and to me you're one and the same. I do recognize that people will see them differently. The Caymanian generation will say that the Caymanian who got status isn't Caymanian. The Caymanian who got status will say, well, I'm not Caymanian, but I got Cayman status. Until and unless we as a people see ourselves as Caymanian,
yes,
understand, respect, and recognize that it is for us to work together in this country for the betterment of the country, we'll be divided, right?
I would say, I would say with rhetoric like that, we're definitely divided. If you look to our neighbor to the north, Jamaica, no, it's more to the... I don't have my map on me.
I call my brother. It's over there somewhere, right?
Over there somewhere. But Jamaica, 1 hour flight away on Cayman Airways.
Cayman.
Beautiful country, by
the way. To Panama. No, Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. And Las Vegas coming soon. Hey, ain't that something?
Las Vegas, huh?
I think I saw something like that.
Well, we could go to the back this weekend. Let's go.
Anyway, back to Jamaica. Out of many, one people. So it doesn't matter. You can be Lebanese, Syrian, Chinese, Indian, it doesn't matter because in this country we're all one, we're all Jamaican, and same with I think Americans has something like that as well.
Right. Is their thing, right?
So I think we need a statement like that to be like, listen, it doesn't matter.
So before I invite you for your final thoughts, I'll ask a couple of things. We're hearing increasingly that in potentially as early as the next election,
what?
And if not soon thereafter, that people in this country who are as yet not eligible to vote because they don't have the I think it's the grandparent connection, right? That particular clause is going to be removed.
What does that mean?
So you can qualify not only as a voter but as a person who can stand for election and be elected, right?
What type of person?
So it is my understanding. I asked someone unofficially and I've asked officially.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it so often times and I'm mindful not to back water.
Right.
But when someone like, for example, Susan Starcher say, boy, a great song, I believe that's a great song because she knows songs, right?
Right.
So like that. So when these people are sharing that we are considering removing the provision in our legislation that says that for you to be eligible to be a candidate and to be elected to our parliament, as we call it now, you need to have a grandparent connection. That we're going to remove that, which would then open up the potential for many others now to be candidates.
For every Tom, Dick, and Harry?
Once they're now eligible to be a voter, they're also eligible to be a candidate.
And
I
would to hear more about that.
Well, I would love for someone to share that, and I've asked them by email just so that I would know, right? The last thing is, our listener says, people are applying for PR and status because there is no other avenue to them to have security of tenure. Isn't there a better alternative? Something I asked earlier, right? So I appreciate this person sharing that as well. Could people come here, stay forever if they choose?
Which is their right.
And as long as they're law-abiding and fulfill whatever the criteria is reasonable, without, just because they've been here for a defined period of time, whether that's 5 years or 15 or 25, without that in and of itself giving them the right to apply. That listener who messaged that seemed to have a similar question. Mr. Victor, I appreciate it. It made the time not just more enjoyable, much more informative. Thank you for sharing. As I said at the outset, I would hope that nobody would hold what you shared against you.
Listen,
especially if you were in my company. But thank you.
Listen, I'll be back on radio. Yeah. We'll be a Rocky. I didn't hear no bell. You know, I'll be here with the stats.
Be careful, Miss Susan. Make us ring our bell. But thank you very much. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me. And people of the Cayman Islands, it's a long weekend. Be safe and stay hydrated, especially tomorrow at KMAS.
You going?
Yeah, I am. Well, I'm going to be photographing KMAS, so I'll be up and about. With
should I go?
I think you should.
Should I go? Should I stay?
And I think you should bring a little tape recorder and do some interviews out there for your show.
No. Listen.
Live on the streets.
I was on vacation yesterday. I came into work because I love my job and I have a great example of a work ethic, both in my parents, in my siblings, and in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to be off today, and I wanted to come back today because I really miss working here. I love, honor, and cherish the opportunity to sit and facilitate. I've been granted next week off as well.
Ooh.
I'm going to enjoy it each and every day. My plans to escape to the sister islands going to have to wait, so forgive me for not swimming across, taking my catboat and rowing over. But I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I have the promise.
A lot of traffic.
All right. So to each and every single one of us, let's get actively engaged in our society. And as we celebrate the holiday Monday, reflect on it, enjoy it, embrace it. Not only because it's there's not going to be another one until November, and that one is a very important one because we celebrate, Remembrance Day. But understand what it is. It isn't Constitution celebrations because it's the Canada Day or the U.S. independence. It's a day, whether we change it at some point to whatever. But the fact is that we look at our Constitution and we respect and value our democracy, our freedoms, our rights, our responsibilities. Right, Mr. Richter?
Amen.
Amen. Well, see you all on the 10th, God's willing. Mr. Art will come in on Tuesday for me. Our wonderful Catherine Miller will take us through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'll be out and about. If I'm misbehaving, just draw my aside and say, hey, boy, behave yourself. If I'm not misbehaving, you say, boy, you're on vacation, try to enjoy yourself.
Exactly.
Either way, I just thank God for His mercy, His grace, His love, protection, and provision for those who call me friend, for those who say, boy, you can pick your friends, but you're not your family. Thanks for not disowning me. Let's live, love, and laugh. Let's learn together, and let's, embrace life.
Amen.
All right. Until the 10th for me, and all of you, be blessed.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
Here is where tradition never dies. This is your radio.